Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for yet another player ratings live stream. Following Chelsea getting a huge win in the race for top four as we managed to beat West Ham United 1-0 at London Stadium. Only our second win at London Stadium since 2015 and our first win since 2017. So, people that say, oh, boring Chelsea, we should have scored more, and we have 5 defenders and 2 DMs and blah, blah, blah. So stop waffling. This is a difficult place to go for us and this season for every team, really. And we got a win, and it's very, very good. Yeah, sure, we should have scored more. Brilliant. Would have been great to score more. But at the end of the day, we got a huge 3 points after Liverpool obviously dropped points very late against Newcastle. Newcastle honestly becoming our favourite team. They were quite easy for us to beat, but they're taking points of everybody else. So I'm a big fan at the moment, especially of Joe Willock. But to discuss, that game today, that brilliant win for Chelsea today, we're of course joined by our partner in crime for this player ratings live stream. He has returned after being slightly ill last time out, Mr. CFCPys. First of all, how are you doing? And secondly, what do you think about that game?
Yeah, it's good to be back, guys. Hopefully you're all happy after that win. I definitely am. A bit nervous at the end, just trying to see out the game and would they score late on. But no, I think overall it was a decent performance. First half I didn't really like, to be honest with you, but in the end I think we should have won maybe 3-4, even 5-0. I really didn't count all the chances, but it seemed like we should have won by much more than we did. I mean, Werner had a couple chances, obviously Tammy at the end. There was other shots. I mean, Mount had 2 really good shots saved as well. So, yeah, it was another one of those where we win 1-0, but also it could have been much more. It could have been like the Palace game, if we took our chances. So, as well, Pulisic had one in the first half. So, yeah, there was countless opportunities, but overall, I think we played pretty well, to be honest. I don't know, West Ham had injuries, but you can only play what's in front of you. And I thought we saw it out well. Is basically what I'm trying to say. I can't speak. We saw the game out well, and yeah, a massive 3 points as well. Because if we lost today or something, they would go ahead of us, and then obviously we'd be Real Madrid, and then we'd have to win Fulham. So it's still every game for me is a must win, obviously. But to get a 3 ahead of them now, it just takes the pressure off us just a tad, so we can go into that Real Madrid game not thinking of the Premier League. So yeah, that's good as well.
100%. No, I agree with literally everything you said there. I mean, it was a huge game for us to, make sure we don't lose, especially because we could not have afforded to lose that game today. We really couldn't have. And, it was vital. It was absolutely vital. We got that victory. And like you said, we should have scored loads more goals. We should have arguably maybe had one more in the first half. I think Pulisic has to score that chance personally. And then obviously we had loads in the second half, Werner with the rebound, and obviously a couple of times where Kante just didn't play the easiest of passes to create huge 100% sitters of opportunities, and it was disappointing. But at the end of the day, when your defense is as solid as ours is, you can't afford to not score every chance you get. And I saw, was it Liam Twomey? I can't remember who it was, but I think a minute ago someone tweeted, I'm not sure about this stat, but surely Chelsea must be the team that misses the most chances from really good transitions, right? Because we're awful at it. I mean, ever since, well, to be honest, even on the Conte, we weren't that great in counter-attacking, with the exception of that game against City. But let's say since Conte's second season, we've been dreadful at counter-attacking for the most part, I thought.
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, the Kante one you mentioned there was, I was literally screaming at the TV. I was like, oh my days. And also the Mount one, fair enough, he actually got it to Tammy, but still I think Ziyech was probably the easier option just to pass it across. Ziyech was going absolutely mental because obviously Mount had to beat the man to get to Tammy, whereas, he literally just had to look upside across to Ziyech and it's 2-0. But yeah, I guess in that sense we got lucky because it was only 1-0, but of course, decision-making needs to be a little bit better in my opinion.
Without a shadow of a doubt, yeah, it needs to be better. And to be honest, I didn't even see it back like that. I was kind of preparing the stream already, whether Ziyech would have been such an easier option for Mount at the very end. One thing I can say, I don't think people should be angry or going crazy at Tammy for not scoring that. What's he meant to do? Is he just meant to get a hover pack and just fly high enough to hit that ball down? What's he going to do from your 1 yard out if the ball's a bit too high? What can you physically do about it? I don't understand how. Yeah, maybe he can give it such a light touch that he kind of just drops down, sure. But Do you know what I mean? Like it's I got a bit annoyed at people for being too harsh on Tammy for not scoring that. Would have been brilliant for him to score. That would have been absolutely amazing for me. What a day that would have been. Timo Werner and Tammy Abraham getting goals, eh? But I suppose with all of that said, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're watching this right now, whether you're watching this at a later point when this video has, of course, when this live stream has, of course, turned into a video, please be sure to subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We're getting ever so closer. Under 600 subscribers away now at this point. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. That'd be brilliant. Smash the like button if you're happy that Chelsea won. And of course, if you want to, if you fancy it, use the super chat function, support the channel. But of course, you don't have to become a member as well. If you fancy it, there's a join button underneath on desktop. And then we have the first super chat by the legend himself, that is Jester. And there's a link in the description if you're on phone to become a member. And Jester has said in the super chat here, saying, big up Laurenz, big up Pys. Can't stay happy for the big W. TT, aka Dexter, dropping another masterclass night and day from the last game. Another must win next. I'm not sure whether you had a typo in there saying can't stay happy for the big W, because you seem very happy, so I'm a bit confused, to be honest, but you can explain in just a second if you fancy it. But yeah, absolute masterclass, really. Did everything perfectly well, barely conceded a goal. The closest West Ham got to scoring was a very daring attempt from Lingard from outside the box, and now, of course, possible penalty situation with Azpilicueta, which we'll get to. Other than that, West Ham never really got anywhere near our goal, to be honest. So, we were quite comfortable. And yeah, sure, we should have scored more goals, but you can't really blame the manager for not scoring more goals. The only thing I didn't like is that he didn't make subs any earlier. But again, just that I really do appreciate the donation. I really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. And huge few weeks coming up. Hey, I said this yesterday in the preview. We've got one big game after the other. Fulham is the only exception, and maybe Villa if we have top 4 secured by then. Can't stay happy for the win. I appreciate it. Okay, can't stick around. Just appreciate you dropping in anyway. I know you're a busy man. But yeah, I mean, huge games. Huge games, and that was the first of many. I mean, we were talking about Hell's Gate a few months ago when obviously we had Atletico and Liverpool and United and Everton and blah, blah, blah. Well, now it's not too different. We have West Ham, who were level on points with us. We've got Real Madrid, sure, Fulham, but then Real Madrid again, Man City. God knows when we're going to play that game against Leicester, which we were meant to play on the same day the FA Cup weekend is going to, FA Cup final is going to take place. Arsenal as well. So many huge games to play. But I said, I'd say with all of that said, Pys, let's get into those player ratings. And with all of that said, let's start with Edouard Mendy. What do you make of him today? Obviously, Kepa, we didn't actually speak ahead or after the Brighton game, but Kepa started that one. Good performance. I think myself and who was on? Scott, I think we even ended up giving Kepa man of the match. Not sure whether I agree with that, to be honest. Scott kind of rubbed me into that, in all honesty, but he was good regardless. And to be honest, Mendy caught a lot of important crosses today. Didn't really have many saves to make. Just had that one dodgy pass from the back again, which could have gone really badly, but thankfully didn't. So what rating would you give him?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you as well. Maybe he was solid, like 7.5/8, maybe, something like that. Because obviously he did have that one dodgy pass, but it didn't really lead to anything. So, I thought he was pretty solid though, and I didn't really have any worries from West Ham set pieces because of his height and his obviously catching ability. So that was helpful as well.
Personally, I think 7.58 is a bit high. I would have said 7 because we were good, but I think otherwise we have to go real high with the rest of the ratings.
Fair enough, then, yeah.
With that logic,
Yeah,
maybe if by the end we're happy and we can happily push him up to a 7.5. But we've done it a couple of times where we gave Mendy such a high rating and then we kind of roped ourselves into giving somewhat over the top ratings. Do you get me?
No, yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Exactly. Obviously, let me actually quickly get it up if it is here. I'm not sure. Yes, it is. The lineup today. We haven't even discussed that yet. A few surprises in there today, weren't there, mate? Because we went for a proper back three of 3 real centre-backs. Myself, Con and Monster, and even Lewis discussed that slightly yesterday. Is that something maybe we should do because of the set-piece threat of West Ham? And to be honest, Tuchel kind of hinted at doing something like that when he kept going on about how dangerous they are from set-pieces. The only thing I then didn't expect is Aspie play right wing-back. I mean, you and me were texting on WhatsApp before the game saying, Aspie right wing-back? It's a bit of a dodgy one. But I suppose... First of all, in hindsight, it worked out. We got the dub. Aspie had a decent performance, so we can't really complain much. And maybe Reece, didn't do just so badly with a bit of a rest. We know he had those muscle problems where there was talk about him needing surgery because of a muscle problem or whatever. around Christmas. So, maybe not overplaying him, maybe not overworking him. It's maybe not the worst idea in the world. And in the end, if it gets us the win, can we really complain? Other than that, I suppose mostly as expected, with maybe the exception of Pulisic / Werner starting over Havertz, I suppose. But what did you make of the lineup?
Well, the one big surprise for me, as you mentioned, was Aspi. To be honest, I really didn't think he'd ever play right wing back. I just wondering what's happening with Hudson-Odoi, to be honest with you, because I don't know what you think, but every time he's played right wing back, I've been really impressed with him. I think he's really, really good there. So, especially with the lack of creativity and the way that Aspi was struggling with the pace of Fredericks in the first half, I thought, well, why isn't Hudson-Odoi played there? So I was a bit disappointed, Tuchel, to see Hudson-Odoi not start this game. But in hindsight, I guess it worked, but could have gone massively wrong because Fredericks was, burning Aspi in the first half, and Aspi didn't offer anything going forward. So that was the one only real surprise. I mean, I'm not really surprised to see Werner because he hasn't really been playing much recently. So obviously he's going to start some games. And obviously Kai's obviously going to start against Real Madrid. So I didn't really see any surprises there. It was just Aspi for me.
That is fair enough. I mean, I know Creswell is obviously out injured, but have they, to be honest, I haven't really looked at it. Have they started Fredericks at left back consistently, or was that a surprise today?
No, that's what I was going to mention just afterwards. He doesn't usually play there, so maybe obviously Tuchel didn't expect that, and then it just he was like, oh, damn, that Fredericks is playing now, so it's a bit different for us.
Exactly, because I get the point about Callum Hudson-Odoi, but I think if you're worried about set pieces, putting Aspi there makes a lot more sense than Hudson-Odoi, even maybe a tad than Reece, I suppose, just more discipline and more experience in terms of dealing with set pieces. But I just don't think, I know Callum has more pace, but I don't think Callum would have had the discipline to deal with the pace of Fredericks, because I think the more offensive your right wing back are, the more dangerous the pace of their left back becomes, if that makes sense.
Maybe. To be honest with you, I've kind of gone off the train of Hudson-Odoi can't really do the defensive duties, or he can't hack this and stuff. Now, I think he's got past that. I think he's more mature. I think he's obviously developed his tactical game under Tuchel. So I think for me personally, he can play right wing back, to be honest with you, in whatever type of game.
I know he can, but he hasn't. We haven't used it yet against a top opposition, and realistically, that's what West Ham are. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been level on points with them before. And obviously, James, I know Fredericks is usually a right back. I was thinking, does he, because of Cresswell's injury, usually play at left back? If that makes sense. But regardless, I kind of went off on a tangent. And let's get into the three centre backs. And I thought all of them had very good games. I thought Christensen, the yellow card he took, probably had to take it. Showed respect of Lingard, as our team did for all of the game, really. But I thought he had a very good game, a few very important interceptions, tackles. I think he gets at least an 8. I would be happy with an 8.5 as well.
Bro, yeah, I think I'll bump it up to an 8.5 because I think Christensen's just such a baller. Like, gone are the days where we can't really rely on him, but game back-to-back games and stuff like that. Now whenever he comes in, this guy plays well. And I saw Lewis tweeting like Jared Bowen and that welcome to the penitentiary and all that. So that was funny. But it's true. Like,
yeah, that was funny.
He's not, that meme on Twitter, if anyone's seen that, Lewis is not going to, stop doing it. He's not going to do it if he didn't play well. You know what I mean? Christensen has actually locked up all these attackers. Like, he's been so good on the Tuchel, and I was just happy to see him back in the team as well.
100%, I agree. And my only side of slight negative or criticism, which is why I wouldn't give him a 9 or higher, is because I think as the right centre-back, he needs to be a bit more progressive with his passing, because with usually having Aspi there, that's kind of how we build our attacks very often. And Christensen didn't quite do that enough, in my opinion. Not necessarily saying,
I'm surprised you said that, to be fair. I think he made a couple of really good passes. The one in the first half, I can't remember who it was.
No, I agree. He made individual good passes, but I thought in general, his kind of body position of where to go once he receives the ball was always sideways backwards rather than forwards, which is what our right centre back usually does. Again, it's not a big criticism at all. I just, because he's not used to the position, but I think if he's going to play there more regularly, that's one thing he needs to kind of get slightly better at. I mean, if you disagree, but what's your reasoning for not giving him a higher rating then? Because, like I said, that's kind of my reason, if that makes sense.
In terms of like an 8.5.
Well, why you wouldn't give him higher than that if you think even that part of his game was good?
Well, I just think coming on to one of the other defenders, I think, both of them, to be honest, I think Silva and especially Rudiger were just a tad bit better. I think they were a tad more solid. He did make one slight mistake as well, didn't he, Christensen? But he made up for it. It was the one where I think he got caught out of position or something. I can't remember what it was, but I seem to remember.
I can't remember it either, but yeah.
He made us. I'm dead sure it was him. I just came back to. I've lost my train of thought now, but yeah, I just thought those two were a bit better, especially Rudiger. He had like most aerial duels or something. He didn't lose one aerial duel, so I think that was really impressive.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, I will also say aerial duels today when they don't have Antonio and their striker is kind of Bowen/Lingard. I would expect our defenders to win aerial duels. Obviously, for set pieces, it's a bit different when you have Ziyech up there, when you have Okpona up there, blah blah blah. Yeah, but see, I didn't think they were necessarily so much better than Christensen personally. In the, like passing, sure, but I don't know. I think Christensen had more like decisive tackles than you. Maybe that because he was forced to do more, which maybe means him and Aspie didn't do as good of a job as the other side did, I suppose. But do you see what I mean?
Oh yeah, his clutch just said it was on Lingard and then got back and blocked across. But what you said there, I mean, I'm happy to give them all the same rating if you want, because they were all really solid, or maybe
I would have
Silva,
given Silva a 9 and Rudiger an 8.5 as well.
Oh, see, I would have done the other way around. I would have given Christensen and Silva 8.5 and then Rudiger a 9, because I thought Rudiger really stood out today.
To be honest, it's fair. I was just basing it more on the passing, and I thought Thiago was the one that kind of stood out most of those three. But to be honest, like I don't mind giving both of them a 9. If we want to give Christensen a 9 as well, I don't really know. But I think giving them both a 9 is fair as well. Maybe that's slightly over the top. We'll see when we get to other players, because no, I do. How about we give all of them an 8.5? Because I don't think any of them were a man of the match, and I don't think we were anywhere near good enough to hand out 10s.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I saw someone say, like, just give them all an 8.5 as well. I think, especially looking forward, like, towards the other players, I think that'll probably be fair. Hand out some higher ratings to other people as well.
Exactly. I think that would be good. And then we get next to Aspie, and I actually want to get your thoughts on that like straight away. What did you make of his performance? Because obviously people were very questioning, as both of us were, in terms of him playing right wing back. But I think he had a good game. I know he got caught by Fredericks a few times in terms of pace, but I don't think we can really hold that against Aspie much because, well, he is just slower than Fredericks. So what's he going to do about that?
Yeah, a bit of a sticky one for me. I don't really think he had a good game as such. I think it was just more of an average game. I don't know. I can't really call it a good game, to be honest with you. I don't think he was very good going forward, and obviously at the back he was getting burnt all the time. Not his fault, obviously, but still, still getting burnt.
Yeah, I see that. Can someone in the chat please tell me if that, again, like I asked you earlier, I can't remember whether it was off air or on air, but can someone please tell us whether that kind of ball that he went into and almost gave the penalty away, whether that would have gone on target? Because if it did, if it would have done, that gives him a plus rating. If it isn't, it's kind of, you can kind of ignore it. Because like I said, I would agree with James's rating, and I would probably give him a 7. I'm not sure if you would agree as well. And if that ball would have gone in, I would give him a 7.5.
To be fair, 7's nowhere near 8.5, so I'm happy to drop him down by that because, yeah, I think, I mean, I'd even go like 6.5, but we won, so 7, why not? Why not?
Yeah, I think 6.5 is a bit harsh. He was quite good. Like, obviously, you can't expect him to like be the
I really did
drop it on offensive masterclass, but everyone knows that when you start him at right wing back, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I didn't really like the experiment, to be honest. It wasn't really for me. I don't know. I don't feel as positive on him as you do. Let's just say that.
Fair enough. I'm just not worried. This maybe just like the wrong word, but curious if he did that today because he's going to do it against Madrid.
Oh no, I don't think so. I don't think so. He said in the before the game his conference thing, he said it didn't really make sense, to be honest with you. He said something like we opted for more height in the three centre backs, so Aspi had to play right wing back. Well, if you do that, why didn't you just play Zuma? Like, I don't get it. Like, do we really have that much more height in the back? I don't think so. Like, Christensen, Silva aren't that much taller than Aspi, are they? So, bit of a weird reasoning, but yeah.
Yeah, Thiago isn't, to be fair, but Christensen is quite a bit taller. Christensen just looks small, but Christensen is like 6'2", 6'3", isn't he?
I guess he just looks small then, but whenever I like see Christensen, I don't think he's like that big, but that's like you opt for more height in three centre backs, but does that mean you have to play Aspi right? Like it just almost seems like Aspi has to play because he's the captain. It's like Tuchel wants that the actual captain in the team, which I get it, and also he is pretty solid in a three at the back, but obviously Reece James. There's Hudson-Odoi as well. I'd imagine he goes Reece James against Real Madrid, to be honest with you, just because of the strength and stuff. If Hazard's playing, then that's one player you would want on Hazard is Reece James because of how tough he is. And we wouldn't want Hazard to get injured, but I'd imagine Reece will be nipping at his ankles all the time. So, yeah. I would like Reece.
Maybe it is better to play a guy that's not good friends with Hazard.
Yeah, exactly. Like as well, Hazard used to absolutely murder Aspi all the time in training. So.
On the day, yeah, exactly. So yeah, no, I see that. But I don't think Hazard will start. I think he'll stick with Vinicius. Yeah, but we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think 7 is still fair for us, but it's not an awful rating either. Then we get to Ben Chilwell, who I thought had a very good game. Got a huge assist, which is a very good assist. People say it was a poor, not even like he didn't even mean it. I disagree. I thought he meant exactly that. It may be fortunate that Ziyech kind of pulled out of it, of trying to clear it because he was maybe scared of an own goal or something. But very good cross, very good game overall. I thought I would maybe put him along the lines because of the assist, 8.5 along with the centre backs, maybe 9, but I would probably say 8.5. What about you? Would you give him the 9?
Oh, it's hard because I thought he was really good, but then again, I mean, I could quite easily give him obviously a plus 0.5 to make it a 9 for the assist, and I thought he was actually really good going forward, and he's always quite good in a back three defensively as well. But then again, you've also got to take in the likes of obviously Mount and stuff. So, you know what? I will give him a 9. Because also, as well,
you made a good point there. Should we really be handing out 9.5? Should maybe 9 be the highest of what we give out today? Maybe it should.
I mean, as well, Chilwell actually got man of the match, so I guess we have to take that into our
9 it is. Well. 9 it is. Off you go. Then we have maybe 2 or 3 players on 9. I see that coming. I don't really want to give out higher than that personally, but we'll see. Maybe you'll convince me. And then we get to one of those people who I think is also up there with a 9 in Jorginho. I thought it was again brilliant today. Another in a row brilliant performance. Okay, maybe Brighton not so much, but he was one of the few that was actually decent. I thought in that game. So maybe you'll disagree, but I thought he controlled the game well. I thought he played some good passes. I thought defensively was absolutely brilliant. No complaints. I would give him a 9. There was this period at the late in the first half where I kind of didn't see him so much anymore. Although my girlfriend said I just didn't see him, and that was actually he did a fair few good things. Fair enough, but I didn't really notice him, to be honest, as we lost a bit of control of the game. But I thought whenever we controlled the game, it was all going through him. So I think he deserves a 9. What about you?
It's hard to disagree with you when you say it like that. But then again, I think if I was to put Jorginho on a 9, then I think I'd have to give Mount even higher. I think Mount had a really big influence. So I'm going to put Jorginho as an 8.5 because I also want Mount on the same or similar rating to Chilwell. But Jorginho did.
Yeah, I would have given all 3 a 9. That was my logic at this point now. Let's say what kind of my 3 man of the matches, if you will.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that's fair enough. To be fair. Yeah, I can.
Because I think they all did some really good things, but they all had some things where I'm like, you could have done better. For example, I mean, our front 3 weren't brilliant today, and Mount was part of that when we struggled to really do much until we started to hit them on the break in the first half and the second half. And Mount was kind of part of that, but I still think he had a brilliant game, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm not thinking 10, because he did a lot of great things as well.
Yeah, and also to Mount, I've just thought obviously that personally, I think he should have played the ball to Ziyech, which would have got him an assist. So maybe that's a bit harsh, but I think all 9s would be justified. I want to give Mount a 9.5 because I thought he was amazing, but I think all three on 9.
I think as a team we weren't good enough to give out 9.5s today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it depends on where you look on it though, because obviously this is individual rating. So I don't know. I just thought Mount really, really stood out today.
No, I mean that is fair. I mean we'll get to him again in a minute, and we can discuss it again, I suppose. But I guess next we get to N'Golo Kante, which is an interesting one because I thought defensively he was absolutely brilliant. But that one specific ball over the top, where what an awful chip cross that was, basically straight into the hands of the goalie. And so many times where Werner made brilliant through ball runs, and Kante was the guy that pushed it up the pitch from midfield, and it just chose not to play the pass. And I know that's not Kante's main strength, but Kante is still a world champion, like a World Cup winner, a Premier League winner, an FA Cup winner, like a Europa League winner. He's a really, really good footballer. And sometimes I just think he doubts his own ability because I'm very confident that he can play those passes, but he's scared not to. And it really triggers me that he does play those passes because I believe that he could.
Yeah, and I totally agree with everything you said. Like, for me, I'd give Kante like an 8 or something because I thought he was everywhere and I thought his defensive game was really good. But on the ball, this guy is... Like, when I'm saying he's genuinely terrible on the ball. Like, he doesn't look up. And I know it's not his game, but still, when you're playing in a pivot, in a possession-based team, you need to be better. So I can't give him an 8.5 or a 9. I'm going to have to give him an 8 just because on the ball, he was terrible. He lost the ball. I think possession loss was like 8 times in the first 40 minutes. God knows what it ended up at the end of the game. But, yeah, I can't give him higher than an 8 because his all-round game just wasn't good enough for me.
I would have thought 7.5 or 8. I would have kind of given you the options of those two. I think maybe 7.5 is fairer, but it seems harsh as well because he was really good defensively.
Yeah, I think you have to give him an 8 because of the defensive work he did.
Yeah, I think because we sometimes, like, I'm one of those people that sometimes maybe doesn't highlight that enough, how good he was defensively, but even I very clearly noticed how brilliant he was in that aspect. And as much as he was disappointing going forward, I still think he was so good defensively that an 8 is still warranted. Maybe an 8 closer to a 7.5, but still an 8 is okay. And then we get to Mason Mount first, who we kind of have somewhat agreed to give a 9 already, even though you would prefer a 9.5. Brilliant today. Brilliant. The one thing I will say, that cross to Werner in the first half, I'm not having any slander for Timo Werner for that. Mount should keep that pass on the ground. There was no need to get that off the ground and make that bounce and make it unnecessarily difficult for Werner, if you ask me.
Was that the one where he hit it over?
Yeah, when Werner tried to volley and put it over, because that ball, the cross by Mount, it could have just kept it on the ground. That was a really difficult volley.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, anyone expecting him to score from there is a bit ridiculous, to be honest. It was It was like a snapshot. I mean, maybe hit the target, but, his score is a bit harsh.
Yeah. Also, it was quite far away as well.
Yeah, it was kind of like... I saw people like, oh, Werner, how did you miss that? I was like, guys, that's like a volley. He was sideways coming onto it. Like, calm down.
Even in his best ever form, he's not guaranteed to score that.
It's like, I just think people were so desperate to see Werner score and like quick to slander him that, me and you aren't big fans of him. I don't think he was very good today, but he's
no. I think he was.
Really?
Yeah.
Fair enough then, but to be honest,
we'll discuss it in a second. Hey, he won me over with that interview the other day on that Chelsea podcast with the Americans. He won me over. I'm now nice to Timo Werner. You'll hear in a second.
You're not a Werner fan.
Honestly, I just don't think it would be fair. I just don't think it would be fair to give Chilwell, who had the decisive assist, to Jorginho, who helped us control the game, to give them a lesser rating than Mount. Although I really do think Mount was good. The shots from distance, that save from Fabianski is ridiculous, and I don't think people mention that enough. How ridiculously good that save was, personally. Really good save. Obviously, that shot that in the end led to Werner's absolute shocker of a miss. And generally, he was very, very good. A couple of moments where I'm like, why'd you make that pass there? Hence why I wouldn't be willing to give him a 9.5. I'm sorry, I have to force you down to a 9.
Yeah, fair enough then. I don't know.
Maybe a 9.25. No,
I'm saying it's on.
I just don't think we were good enough and our attack was good enough to be handing out 9.5s here. I do apologize. But then we get to the player who I thought was by far and away our worst player on the day. I thought Pulisic was pretty damn dreadful. I mean, half the time he wasn't even moving. Like, he was just stood in the way very often. I know he had a couple of times where he carried the ball up the pitch. Great, right? But half the time, he wasn't where he was meant to be. And so many times, Werner was moving out to the wing. And never once did Pulisic end up in the box, like, especially in the first half. We never had anybody in the box for Werner to actually do anything with. And who's that guy meant to be? Pulisic. Because Mount is the kind of inside forward that obviously we know is kind of also a midfielder that drops back to link things. Pulisic is the one inside forward that's meant to get in the box. Like, that's why we play that formation, for those players to be even higher and closer to the box than if they were proper wingers. Look at what Salah and Mane do. They're always in the bloody box. Pulisic was never in the box. Triggered me. And the one time he should have scored and didn't. I'm not giving Pulisic anything higher than a 6, personally. But maybe you strongly disagree. We'll see now.
No, to be honest, I thought you were going to say more like a 5. I would give him like a 6, to be fair. I did notice as well he wasn't involved as much today. And I think the one thing with Pulisic is, you know, when like someone passes, he's often got his back to goal and then he tries and turns and runs. I just think nothing stuck today. Like, he didn't go on any of these mazy dribbles. You know, he didn't really connect. Like, his footwork just wasn't there for me. I was noticing it quite a lot. But then when you see like the Porto game, it's like he receives the ball, he turns, he runs. Like, sometimes he can't be stopped. Like, when he gets in the like swing of it. But you know, he didn't have any of those dribbles today. That, you know, I think as well, he's a really big confidence player as well, and he just wasn't in the game for me today, and it was quite clear. So, yeah, I mean, you'd probably have to give him a 6, to be honest.
Yeah, he did have the pre-assist, shall we say. He played the ball to Chilwell, but that wasn't like a particularly brilliant pass now. So, you know, I don't think we can give him much higher ratings just for that one. So I think a 6 is okay. It wasn't like, well, I know I said poor and shocking and blah, blah, blah. That was kind of over-exaggerating in the overall good team performance. So I think a 6 is pretty decent. And then we get to Timo Werner, where we'll seemingly disagree, because I thought for the first half an hour he was our best player on the pitch by far. He was the only one that was actually doing anything. He was finally taking on runs. He was taking shots. He crossed the ball to Pulisic, I'm pretty sure, right? For that Pulisic chance. He did really good things, constantly, all over. Then he had a shocking 10 minutes where he gave away the ball and then the free kick, from which, you know, West Ham nearly got the penalty. Dreadful. And then he had another counter-attack which he stopped with the poor control. But then he scored. Brilliant goal. Like, also credit for him in the build-up play. Holding off Ogbonna, also taking the ball on the turn, a bit like Mason Mount, playing it over to Pulisic, getting in the box. No question finish. You know, not like Pulisic who didn't get any power on this very similar finish. Smacked it home. Yeah, I know. Should have scored the second one. Yes, I know he should have done. And I know he had a couple of poor touches in the second half on counter-attacks as well. But I still think he worked his socks off. He finally tried to win headers for long balls, which I basically have never seen him do in a Chelsea shirt. He tried at least. You're going to disagree, but I want to give Werner an 8.5. But that is because because it was a winner, gives him a full point up. And then the miss takes him a half point down.
I would probably give him an 8. But if you want to give an 8.5 for the goal, fair enough, because obviously he did win us the game. So I don't know, man. I just don't think he was, like, yeah, he was involved and stuff, but like his control and his passing was off. Like, I don't know. I just don't think he was very good. Better than other games, yeah, but just for the standards I have of him, like, this wasn't like a proper unreal Timo Werner game. It was even he said, you know, he should have scored 2 or 3. So
I think comparison to his performances for the last few months was by far his best performance.
Yeah, but like, even today, if this is a good Timo Werner, then I'm still worried. This is not a good Timo Werner. Like, a good Timo Werner scores 2 or 3 today. Like,
all right, I'll give you the 8. You're right. I'll give you that. I still think.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I don't.
No, you're right. You're right. It's just,
I,
and I'm sure I'm maybe thinking this because of in comparison to how he usually plays. That's maybe why I rated it so highly, if that makes sense.
As well, Laurenz, I want to say, like, something I don't mention a lot. The guy's mentality is top. Like, it's so good. Hopefully, it's the same when the fans come. But so far, like, whenever he misses, and like people have a go at him, and he's obviously clearly seen the slander and stuff, he just keeps going. He keeps going. It's not like a people say, oh, he's similar to Morata. Yes, because he missed his sitters, but no, Morata would have literally given up by now. If he missed as many chances as Werner, he would have given up. Like, honestly, he wouldn't. He stopped trying. Morata. Werner never stops trying. He never stops. You know what I'm trying to say is I rate his mentality so much because, you know, even he said himself, "Oh, don't worry, the goals will come." It's just like he has no doubts in his mind. Like it's crazy. Like,
although I'm not sure if that's a little bit him just telling himself so he doesn't end up doubting it, if that makes sense. You know, when you're like kind of starting to doubt yourself and you're just telling yourself, no, don't doubt it, don't doubt it, don't doubt it. Do you know what I mean? It could be that too.
I think you can see it though in his performance, like his persistence, like as you said, to run, to keep trying to get to loose balls. Like, there's clearly players you see where you can spot, oh, they're out of confidence. They're not with it at all. Like with Ziyech, for example, when Ziyech's on it, he's really, really good. But when he lacks confidence, what does he do? He's really sluggish. He doesn't run around. He doesn't press. You can tell.
Can't control the ball, yeah.
Yeah, but with Werner, it's like you can't really tell he's lacking confidence until he gets to the goal because his all-round game and what he tries to do is still good. You know, he still tries and does the things. You know, you wouldn't, if you was a new fan today and you was watching Werner and you saw him miss the chances, you wouldn't realise that he's done this so regularly because he's in a really bad patch, but he's still so persistent. And that's why I rate his attitude and his mentality so much.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well, to be honest. Like, I was somewhat on the fence about that because I know people say, why should he celebrate against Morecambe? I didn't like that he looked so not bothered by that goal because for me it was like, if you're struggling so much, you need to hype yourself up. I watch a lot of tennis. I've played a lot of tennis in my life, and when you're struggling, and obviously because it's a solo sport, it's a bit different, right? But when you're struggling, you need to kind of push yourself and punch yourself up. So it's like when he finally did get that goal against Morecambe, and Newcastle a bit more, but against Morecambe, I'm like, come on, push yourself, be happy. You allow yourself to be happy and feel those positive feelings so you can kind of, those negative feelings of the last few months don't win over you. So you need to push them out with positive feelings. That's why I really wanted him to celebrate his goal more against Morecambe. And I did in the last few months have kind of sometimes, or last few weeks, sometimes worry a little bit when he seemed so not bothered by missing that I almost seemed like not given up, but as in he didn't believe in himself of the scoring anymore. And that interview that he gave, and I recommend everybody to watch it, honestly, that he did on the official Chelsea YouTube channel with the American guys. He came across very well, in my opinion, and he looked different today. To me, that's also why I would give him such a high rating. I think he just looked different today because he was going for shots. That moment when he had the ball on the right and he just took it past the guy and then went for the shot to the near post with his left foot. We haven't seen Timo Werner try that in months. So I don't know what happened in the last few days, and I know it was after he scored, but still, he looked so much more confident in trying to score. Just think back to the West Brom game, which is only 2 weeks ago, when he had an open goal at 4-1 down and he didn't have the balls to shoot, and he squared it to Mason. He looked like a completely different human today. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do get that as well. And for his goal, the hold-up play, something we haven't mentioned as
Brilliant.
well. Like, that was like Drogba hold-up play. Like, he literally backed into him, sort of like turned and then spun and then passed it. I was like, damn, I didn't realise he could actually do that. That was against Ogbonna as well. So that was also really impressive.
Exactly. But I do still agree, actually, after we spoke about that, 8 is still a fair rating. And then we get to the subs. Ziyech, okay, maybe we'll touch on that when we get to Tuchel, but Ziyech was good. Ziyech was good, to be honest. Run around. Wasn't the sub that I would have made at the time, but run around, like you said. Should have had a goal if man just plays it to him rather than the Tammy. I think that was one of those ones where he's like, Tammy hasn't played in so long. I really want to play this to Tammy. That's what it seemed like.
Yeah, I
he shouldn't.
That,
maybe I'm putting things into Mason that he won't like hearing because obviously it's not a good thing for the team. But I still personally think it would be a totally understandable thing to do if you're good friends with someone.
The only reason why I'll disagree with that, Laurenz, is it's not like Mount looked up and saw Ziyech and then chose to go and beat the man and then play to Tammy. He just didn't look up. So I guess he was just beating his man. Then he was like, oh, I'm going to put it in the box because Tammy will probably be there. I don't think that, I don't think he chose, basically, the player.
That is a fair point. I also, maybe I'm misjudging Ziyech here, but Ziyech looks like Ziyech, Kante, and Havertz look like the guys that wouldn't always shout when they're there to be passed to because they look like quiet people.
Yeah, he had his arms out, but obviously Mount didn't look up. He had his head down and just took.
Yeah, so if he didn't shout, that's a problem. And I guarantee that Tammy was shouting for that ball, shouting his lungs out for that ball.
Yeah, well, we won't know anyway. I didn't really hear any, because I had the crowd noise thing on, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but I still think Ziyech did well coming off the bench. I would probably give him a 7.
Yeah, to be fair, I thought he was quite good, energetic. Yeah, 7's fair enough. To be fair, he definitely would have scored a goal if either of the passes. I mean, if Kante looked up, I'm sorry, but he's not.
Oh no, with that one, I don't think so. I don't guarantee it because that's the same thing he didn't score against City for the second goal. So, but obviously the Mount one he definitely scored.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if it's exactly the same though, because obviously the keeper rushed out with that. But whereas this one, he would have. It was like a 1-on-1. He still had quite a bit of way to travel and then pick his, sort of place.
I suppose it depends on where the ball would have ended up. Would he have run for it? Would it have been straight to him? I suppose, yeah. Maybe he would have certainly had 1 goal. So I think 7 is fair. And if he had the goal, not necessarily his fault, but we can't give him a high rating because he would have scored a goal had the pass gone to him because we don't know what he would have done. So I think 7's fair. I know it's weird because James actually came on a minute before Tammy, but I don't know how to rate James, while I would probably give Tammy a rating. But I don't know if you see it that way as well, or if you would give James a rating too.
No, probably an NA for me. I didn't really notice him at all. I think he touched the ball a couple of times. Yeah, he got a touchdown on the flank and then held someone off and won a throw-in. But apart from that, I don't remember anything, to be honest with you.
No, exactly that. I think that's fair. And then for Tammy, and I quickly do want to discuss this. I think, and I haven't actually let you speak about it yet, but I think it's outrageous that people have a go at him for not scoring that. That's outrageous. Like, Mount's cross wasn't good. Mount's cross was a tad too high. Sure, you can say if Tammy was a couple of yards further back, the ball would have come back down a little bit more. Sure, but Tammy doesn't know that before when he runs there. He was waiting for a low cross, but Mount waited too long for that to be possible, so he had to chip it. Or chip cross it, whatever you want to call it. And the ball was too high for Tammy to head it down. Like, what's he going to do? So I don't think any criticism has to go to him. What rating would I give him? 6.5? Maybe I want to give Ziyech a 7.5 so I can give Tammy a 7, just because I was so happy to see him again.
To be fair, Tammy was really energetic when he came on.
He was.
But obviously you expect that. Like, he's trying to make a point to the manager, and he only had like 3 or 4 minutes or something plus injury time. So it is hard to give him a rating.
You know what? Let's give Ziyech a 7.5 because he was on for longer. He had more chances to do something. But I still think Tammy actually did, like, usually, very often we see subs that we're like, barely noticed that you came on. But I did notice him. He held up one ball very well. He helped us see that game out, I think.
Yeah, he used his body well on a couple of occasions. A nice little place header out wide as well. So we're picking off scraps in terms of like the involvement.
There wasn't much to judge on, sure, I get that.
Yeah, but still, I mean, I rate the enthusiasm, and God knows if he's going to start playing over Giroud now or what. I don't know what Tuchel's doing, but we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, no, it's a weird one. But for me, it was an example of why I want to see Tammy more. Because that energy, Giroud will never be able to show that. Sure, Giroud is steady in the air. I get that. But under Thomas Tuchel, we don't cross the ball. So we just do not, or not those type of crosses that are suitable for Giroud. So that's why, like, I want to see Tammy loads more. I don't always want to see him start. But I think he's a very good striker to bring off the bench. I think it's a very handy player to use for that. Obviously, at this point, we know he's going to leave in the summer, wherever that may be in the end. But I would love to see him more, and I hope he gets a couple of more chances for the rest of the season and maybe gets us a couple of big goals. Hey, people can shut right up if Tammy wins the Champions League. Do you know what I mean?
Bro, like, I've had this thing the whole time as well. Just a little, like, funny, like, thought. Like, the finals in Istanbul, and he missed the penalty in the Super Cup final. Imagine.
But please, no one let him take a penalty. If it's a penalty, he doesn't take one, please.
Imagine he done a Drogba and reclaimed the fame in Istanbul and then won it by a penalty and slotted it in. Like, I don't know. I've just had this funny.
That one moment would then mean that we don't sell him.
Exactly. Like, when I saw it was in Istanbul, and I was like, we won the Champions League on penalties. Who missed the penalty? Tammy Abraham. Like, I just started joining the dots, but no, just a funny little thought.
100%. Now that we've done all the player ratings, I think we should push Mendy up to a 7.5.
Is what are the others? Pulisic
No,
6.
no, actually, I changed my mind because you pushed Aspie down to a 7. I think Mendy shouldn't be higher either. Sorry, unnecessary statement from me then. Let's get to Thomas Tuchel because obviously a somewhat interesting lineup, surprising lineup with particular Aspie. I still think that like the subs took too long, but I still think he deserves probably an 8 just because the subs took too long in my eyes. But you can't blame him for Werner missing a second chance, for Kante not playing that ball, especially because Kovacic is injured. Otherwise, you maybe could blame him. Don't play Kante then, but Kovacic isn't there, so he has to play those two. I think an 8 is fair. Would you reckon?
Yeah, roughly around that. I mean, with managers, it's hard. I mean, you have to look at the performance and then obviously in-game subs and line up, whether you liked it or not. I mean, I saw a lot of people very happy with the lineup, so maybe it's just personal preference. You know, some people will give him higher, some people will give him an 8, like me and you. But I thought we played quite well, and maybe just
I think so as well. I thought we had a good performance. Look at our ratings. We clearly didn't think we played badly.
Maybe just the subs a tad earlier, but again, I mean, I just think that's harsh. We won the game, so you know what.
Also, just some stats for you quickly. We've now kept unbeaten in 10 Premier League away games, which is brilliant. And Thomas Tuchel's first 10 Premier League away games, which is the first ever Chelsea manager to achieve that. We have 10 clean sheets in just 14 games, which is a ridiculous stat, by the way, especially considering how he was shipping goals left, right, and centre before he joined us. I know defensive shape and formation, blah, 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 sure, but he still did that. And, you know, now that we have a 3-point gap, and, you know, if we lose one and West Ham win one, we're level again. But if we at least draw, and with how little we concede, that's at least at 1-point gap again. So these not conceding, this is a big deal. Like, it's a big reason. So I think Tuchel has done a fantastic job, and I think an 8 today is fair. You agree, right?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, even with like Conte, like that's kind of like the last manager we really saw in terms of recent history that had a really solid defense. But I mean, Tuchel's like taking it to a next level. Like we just don't concede really. So it's crazy how good the 3 at the back is. And I keep mentioning this: Rudiger, AC, Silva's good, and Aspie. They're good players. And Silva, you could argue, well, to be honest, he is probably still world class. But they're not like, it's not like we have 3 world class defenders. You know what I mean? Tuchel's working just with the squad he has. He's not even got his targets or. Yeah, so it's impressive, you know, what he's done to the defence, really.
Although I do think that how good our midfielders are usually and how good they have been under Tuchel, let's say that, plus how good the wing-backs have been, I think that's a big reason why the centre-backs have looked as good as they have.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, it is a collective effort, obviously, but I just think in terms of the structure, Laurenz, it's so good. Like, we never get caught out. Like, even on transitions, everyone's just, you know, we lose the ball, we counter press. If we don't get that, we get back into position and we're ready for their attack. So it's like everything just seems so like it flows so nicely.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I do want to discuss a couple of things just lastly, and I want to throw a couple of last stats at you. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this right now, I really do appreciate it. First of all, it's it's late. We all want to have a lovely Saturday evening. It's not actually that late, but still, depending on where you live, it might be very late. You might be Australian. You never know. But first of all, be sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. We're less than 600 away. So definitely get subscribed. It would honestly mean the world to me. I want to hit that before the end of the season. So get subscribed right now. The sooner, the better. The sooner we get there, the better. Honestly, really working hard for that. We're grinding it out. Use the super chat function if you fancy that. Support the channel. Or just if you want to make sure that we read out your comments or whatever. Of course, you don't have to, but if you choose to, I'd massively appreciate it. Become a member if you fancy that too. And smash the like button. That'd be absolutely brilliant. And the last one other stat I want to throw at you. I'm not sure if you've seen it yet, Pys, but Chilwell does now have 10 goals and assists, so 10 goal contributions this season. As a majority, let's not forget, left back. So he didn't play that many games at the left wing back yet. And people be telling me, Alonso gives us more in terms of scoring goals. Absolute waffle. Absolute waffle. Chilwell gets more goals. Chilwell gets more assists. Chilwell is a better footballer all round.
Yeah, and I do know that because I tweeted that out as well.
I did you?
So, I saw it and I was like, you know what? I'm making a tweet on Chilwell because, to be honest, he's one player that I don't really mention a lot. And I thought he's just quietly done really well under Tuchel as well. And another thing I mentioned, one of my Manchester United friends who I speak to, he said, you know, Chilwell kind of, obviously he's fighting for his England spot, the Euro spot as well, and how well Luke Shaw's doing. Maybe, Chilwell's kind of upped his game a little bit for Chelsea because he knows, he needs to play really well to get ahead of Shaw now, because Shaw has just been unreal for Man U. So
that's an interesting debate anyway, because obviously you're English. I think we're now at a point where if Southgate decides to go back 3, Chilwell plays, and if Southgate decides to go back 4, Shaw plays.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with that as well. I really rate Shaw. I always have done. I think he's really good. So it's good for us, English people as well, to have so many options. But yeah, it's just somebody mentioned to me, and I was like, you know what? You could have a good think in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not necessarily because I think Chilwell's worse in the back 4. It's just because that's the position Chilwell is used to, while Shaw isn't. While the back 4 is what Shaw is used to. So if they switch systems in the tournament, it would make sense to pick on that merit. Would make sense to me. And to be honest, like obviously for him on a personal level, I want him to play, especially if England do really well. But on a selfish kind of level, as a Chelsea fans level, I hope all the Chelsea players don't play that much in the Euros, because we've had a crazy season anyway. So the less they play, the fitter they are for next season, the better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the one player that is going to be absolutely knackered is Mount, because Southgate...
He'll probably start every game for England as well, the poor man.
Will. He's going to start pretty much every game.
Hopefully the last group game, he might be rested.
He's going to be absolutely knackered by the time a new season comes.
Honestly, the poor guy, the poor guy. Like I'm just really hoping he's not going to be a Rooney. Obviously, Rooney will start in Premier League games week in, week out at 16, so it's a bit different. But still, I just hope he's not a Rooney or a Kante that then by the time they hit 29, 30, they're kind of like this absolute mess of a glass body, just keep getting injured. I really hope that's not him. Obviously, he will always keep fitter and healthier than Rooney clearly has, so that will always be on his side. But for example, like an Angola, because maybe not quite the same intensity as Angola Mount has, but not far off. Like he's probably the second in that aspect in the whole team, I would say. So, I just hope it doesn't go that way. And the last kind of thing I want to discuss, because I saw a lot of people discuss the whole thing about Hakim Ziyech in the comments so far, and I quickly want to discuss it because it's an interesting discussion. Because someone said in my Blues Fan TV review earlier, because someone said, what's your front 3 for Real Madrid? And I didn't mention Ziyech, and they were like, well, it's funny that you never mention Ziyech for these, because, I mean, he scored big goals, scored against Atletico, scored against Man City, the winning goal. And they're not wrong. Like, Ziyech does get big goals for us at the moment. And even though against the Brighton he plays poorly, when we have a bit more space and the Champions League is a bit more used to it, and then playing City at Wembley is much closer to a Champions League type game than it is a Brighton. Do you know what I mean? Although I don't know, obviously Bernabeu has a huge pitch. I don't know in terms of pitch size if their training ground pitch is where we're going to be playing in.
It's quite small. Size. It looks quite small. It's similar to Stamford Bridge, but actually, even on telly, I think it looks even smaller than Stamford Bridge. Yeah.
Okay. But the angle is a bit different because the camera is not as high.
Oh yeah, definitely. But in terms of like, just when you look at it, you're like, geez, like it does actually look like a training pitch. It doesn't look, intimidating. It doesn't look huge or anything. It's quite narrow. Yeah, it's similar to Stamford Bridge, I'd say.
Well, then maybe that kind of goes against my point of Hakim Ziyech, but still, it is an interesting one. He has scored some big goals and he has turned up on those days. And he does have good days. The problem is with Ziyech, why I'm usually so hesitant to pick him, and I'll let you speak about it in just a second, is because he's so inconsistent. You start Ziyech and you can get a brilliant Ziyech, or you can get a really slow, lethargic, poor first touch, somewhat lazy. And when I say lazy, and a lot of people, some people might actually agree, but when I say lazy, I don't mean like, oh, he doesn't run, he doesn't work for the team. He does. That's one of the things he always does. But what I don't like is he loses the ball and he seems more annoyed with himself rather than busy winning it back. Like, for example, there was a superb moment to explain that today in the game. Mount in the box, kind of tries to pass, kind of gets intercepted. He kind of falls on the floor, jumps straight up, has the ball back, kind of gets it intercepted again. It's again on the ground, gets back up, runs after him, presses the guy. And there was one moment Ziyech tries a pass, misplaces it, and just keeps running like these fallout steps or 5 steps instead of turning around trying to win the ball back. And Ziyech just seemed more upset that his pass didn't work out rather than busy winning the ball back. And I think that's what people criticize with him looking a slight bit lazy, because he does press, he does work hard. He's definitely not lazy in that sense. Just with that, when he loses the ball, he just seems a bit annoyed. And it's also the way he looks, and not in terms of, he doesn't look pretty. But he just doesn't look bothered. And Kai has a little bit of the same problem. we obviously, you and I see through it, and a lot of people do, but some people don't, and that's why people have this perception of him. But still, I don't know, it's a tough one. That's why I'm so hesitant to start him regularly, even though for Madrid people might have a point. But what do you make of it? Because he has had some brilliant games, he has scored some huge goals, but he's still, whenever he plays, it's such a lottery ticket of whether he's going to be good or not, I think.
Look, I'll put it this way. If Mount says to Tuchel he's ready, raring to go, I think I'd start him again. But if he doesn't, I think Ziyech has to come in. I'd love Hudson-Odoi in the front three, but I don't think that's going to happen. Not in this big game. Ziyech scored every time he's played against Real Madrid, and obviously he has.
How many times has he played against them? Twice.
Twice, yeah, 2-2. So
well, there you go.
It's still not bad going, though, is it? 2-2
no, it isn't
against
true.
them. So you have to take that into account. I mean, he did do him with Ajax, so he does score big goals, whether people like it or not. So I'm not opposed to playing him on Champions League nights. I've said before, save him for Champions League nights as well, because I think that's where he turns up. Still getting used to the Premier League, but just something seems to click with him in Champions League. I don't know what it is, whether it's the big occasion or what. But yeah, and just what you said on the sort of perception of the way he moves and walks and looks and stuff like that. Yes, I agree with you. He does press, and I agree with you on like his body stance and stuff as well. I just think it's a bit of an arrogance thing, and that's not a bad thing on him. But trust me, he's always been like this, especially for Ajax. It kind of, you know who he reminds me of? I've always thought he kind of reminds me of, not the similar type of player, but sort of off the ball, when he loses the ball. He kind of reminds me of Wilfried Zaha. They're very similar.
I thought you were going to say Ribery, but fair enough.
No, Zaha. Yeah, I think he reminds me of Zaha because every time he loses the ball, he kind of looks like he's in a strop, or he kind of looks like he's annoyed, sort of his body language. But
yeah.
And they're both quite sort of, yeah, I would say they're both kind of arrogant, to be honest. So I think that's what it is. It's not a bad thing on him. It's just something that he's always been like, and it's the same with Zaha.
Yeah, but then like Jazil, sorry if I butchered your name, bro. I'm saying I remember Ziyech sprinting across Amsterdam Arena the entire pitch length to get the ball from Tottenham, and he did that in that crazy Champions League run by Ajax. He did that something like that on numerous occasions, and he's done something like that for us too. It's just when he loses the ball, that's when he is lazy and looks lazy. But in general, he isn't. He runs his socks off. He really does consistently, and yeah, I mean it's a tough one. It's a tough one for Madrid whether I would start him or not. So you said what? Mount, Ziyech, Havertz, or what?
No, so I would play Mount or Ziyech on the right, and then on the left I would have Pulisic.
I think Mount has to start. There's not even a debate to be had, personally.
But I just don't know if he will, though, because it's Saturday to Tuesday. Saturday to Tuesday is pretty brutal, though. Like,
well, by dead logic, half our team can't play.
It's true, but
no, and if anyone's capable of it, it's probably Mason. Is my thinking.
Yeah, and that's what I said as well. Like, if he gets the all clear, then just 100% play Mason. But I don't know. What I'm trying to say is I'm not going to be annoyed if things are different, because I understand rotation. We don't know if anyone's picked up knocks after the game. We won't know until Tuchel does his press conference on Monday, I believe. So.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. And I suppose let's quickly talk about it, because Madrid, to me, is very similar to playing Liverpool. And what front three did we play there? Mount, Ziyech, Werner. I would start Werner up top, playing Mount, Ziyech behind him. I know it's no Kai and he didn't start today. I get it. And I don't think Tuchel will do it. But I think that's our best way of beating them. Because Ramos, I think he's out to be back. He's not on the bench today. He's not starting today. So I don't think he'll just start on Tuesday, personally. But maybe I'm wrong, right? But they don't play. They don't want drop back. They won't defend in a block, right? So how do we beat that? Pace. Who's got the most pace? Timo Werner. Like, do you know what I mean? And I don't know. He just looked so confident. I know he missed that sitter, but he looked so confident. I'm like, yes, if you at least look confident, that also puts already fear in the opponent in the first place. So we did it against Liverpool and it worked. Why should it work against Madrid? Is my thinking.
Yeah, you can either do two things against Madrid. You can either go for the pace and movement route, try and catch them off guard. Big guy, try and do crosses and try and out jump them, because their defense isn't that tall if Varane doesn't play. So you could still make an argument for Giroud and play pragmatic, but
not true.
Really, I mean, to be honest with you, man,
But you know that about me, though, bro. At this point, you know that I won't start Giroud.
Thing is, everyone laughs at him and stuff, but Atletico Madrid, he's the type of guy that will play really bad for 80 minutes and take a 1-0
Yeah, but that's
lead for us
Atletico Madrid. They play a low block. Then Giroud makes sense. Not Real Madrid.
No, but what I'm saying is, there's we can still go two ways of playing. We could still, I expect Real Madrid to have a lot of the ball, counter attack, or it could go the other way where we could have quite a bit of the ball, and then we could just use the width and then try and put balls in the box, which then Giroud makes the most sense. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what route
my logic is just, obviously that could happen. You could be right, but I just haven't seen us play like that under Tuchel yet. I haven't seen us play a single game where we just go for crosses. I haven't seen that, unless I'm forgetting one here, but I'm pretty sure we haven't done that.
Atletico Madrid away was the main one. We spammed crosses all night, but
Did we?
they are quite different to Real Madrid.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I suppose the last thing I want to discuss, because I think we discussed this, but off air before the stream. So, and since then we kind of just glanced over it. So, a question by Kevin M here. Appreciate the comment. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to, if you're new here and want to subscribe, do that. We're only going to go for a couple more minutes. So, what the hell? I just got a very odd text message. Regardless, right? What did you make of the red card? And guys, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe.
I do think it was harsh, but am I surprised? Do I care with all these decisions? Do I understand the decisions? The way the refs think nowadays? No. Yes, when you look on the replay, it does look really bad, and obviously it's still technically endangering an opponent because of the follow through, but still, I mean, it's quite harsh. There was no malicious intent from him. You could quite see that from his face and his body language. He's just going for the ball, but it's the follow through that's got him the red card. But yeah, I do think it's still a bit harsh. But do I care? Absolutely not. So I guess that's what I was saying.
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's one of those where it's, for me, like, the replay slow-mo just makes it look much, much worse than it is. Like, I've seen a lot of red cards given to that. So by that logic, I kind of expected a red card to be given, if I'm totally honest with you. But I never agree with them. Like, so many yellows and red cards are given out for the follow-through on a pass, on a clearance, on a cross. And I never get it. I'm like, these referees, have you ever tried to clear a ball? It's impossible to do that without having a follow-through. And eventually, you're going to have to land on the ground again. So, like, you're going to have to do that. Like, there's no other option. And it was just unfortunate for me. Personally, I don't even think it's really a foul. I mean, give it a foul, okay, but I don't even think you needed to give a yellow for that. He took the clearance, probably looking after the ball rather than a Chilwell in front of him, lands, realizes he lands on a guy, and then the slow-mo makes it look like he stood on his leg for like 10 minutes, when it's like half a second at that. But obviously, when you're landing on one leg, it takes a while until your whole body weight's down, and then you need to push yourself back off again. Like, you can't just take your foot off something if that's where your body weight is. We're not in space. We're not just floating about. Gravity exists, right? Even if flat earthers might disagree. It's just...
the decisions are really stupid now, but like, even the Aspi handball one, I was like, it doesn't make sense, but he's definitely going to give it. I'm actually shocked he didn't give it just because of the way the handball rule, it's just a load of crap, but I'm surprised.
That's the weird one. Like, obviously, I watch Premier League on Sky Germany, and obviously for them it's even more difficult, and that's probably why it's difficult for me, because handball rule is different league by league. So obviously these German people, even though they're commentating over the Premier League, they obviously have it in their head how it's necessary in Germany. So I don't even know what the rule. Like, I hear something like, "Oh, if it comes off another body part, then it's not handball." Well, if that's actually the rule, then it's just clearly not handball, because it hits his chest, goes from his chest to his arm, and then his thigh. So if that is the genuine rule, but I don't know if it is, then it's clearly not a penalty. But if that isn't the rule, then I would agree with you. I'm surprised that he didn't give it. Do you see what I mean? Like, if that is the rule, then obviously it's not a penalty, because if you slow it down enough, you can clearly see that it comes off his chest first.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I just wouldn't have been shocked because you know what the refs are like. Like, to be honest, when I've said this before on one of these streams as well, I don't know what to reply when people debate about this, you know, tackles and handballs because, you know, they change the rules all the time and there's no consistency in the decisions anyway. So what are we supposed to say? Our opinion's not like theirs anyway. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, that's it. You and myself probably won't hear each other before Tuesday. So just quickly, drop me a score prediction for Tuesday.
Oh my days. I will go with 1-1.
I'll take it. I will say this. I mean, maybe it's conspiracy, but if 50-50 decisions go against us in this game, Perez has paid the ref off, and there is no two questions about it. No way the UEFA allow Madrid to get away with this, but at least not even trying.
It should be the other way around. I saw something the other day, which it was on like a big Real Madrid account that reports news, and he was saying like UEFA are going to try, not going to try. It was worded in a way that you knew that UEFA was going to basically try and punish Real Madrid. And Perez.
That's what I mean. So that's what I'm saying. What I mean. If the decisions don't go for us, that means Perez paid more than UEFA.
Yeah, it's like, but then again, if we get 3 penalties, it's like, you know what I mean?
I'll take it.
We'll take it, but people will be like, oh, you know, UEFA.
You got to think of it that way. If we get 3 penalties, that means we will have gotten into their box 3 times. You wouldn't have thought that in January that we would be getting into Real Madrid's box any time this season. So you know.
True. I'm just I'm keeping an eye on Real Madrid game at the moment. They're actually drawing 0-0 with Real Betis, which is interesting as well.
That is interesting. I did actually look at the lineup earlier already, but
70 minutes as well.
That first of all, Cruz is not playing. He is said to be back. So that's what what's his face? Zidane said that Cruz is back because Valverde is out with having tested positive. And I suppose the other. Hazard is on the bench, and just Fernandes playing left back, and Mendy will be at left back. So it's not far from their strongest team. Benzema's playing, Casemiro's playing, Modric's playing, Varane's playing, Carvajal's playing. It's not too far away. The wingers might be.
Carvajal and Varane are back, so that gives them a big boost as well. And especially if Mendy plays, that's going to be very tough to score against that defense. Honestly, Militao is a beast as well. So,
but I think it makes a big difference if Ramos comes back or not.
Oh, yeah, true. But still, Varane and Militao, if they both play, then it's so good. Nacho and Militao against Liverpool. Like, yeah, it's going to be tough to score against them for sure. It
will be. I'll change my mind. You know, I'll do probably a couple more score predictions by that point. But my current score prediction is 1-0 because that's just what we do. We're going to win 1-0. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it here. Pys, thank you for coming on, as always. What a brilliant win today. Let's not get too focused on Real Madrid for the time being. Let's be happy about getting a very big and very important win in the Premier League, making, the likelihood of us finishing within the top 4 a lot better, than if we drop points today, let alone lost, right? So brilliant win, and that's what I mean under Tuchel. That's why it's a good thing that we have so many big games coming up, because whenever games are big, we turn up. Under Tuchel, whenever it's like some team like Leeds or Southampton and Wolves and bloody Brighton and West Brom, that's when we bottle it. When it's a big game, we always turn up. So that's why I'm a bit worried about Fulham. We're going to batter everybody else.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, I'm a bit scared for Fulham as well because it's like straight after Real Madrid and it's like, Fulham.
At least we have Tuesday to Saturday. That's something.
Yeah, true, but still, like, it's still quite a quickish turnaround, you could say. Like, and Fulham are still fighting for survival as well. I don't think they're going to get out, but to be fair, I do like the way Scott Parker plays. But that also could come into our hands as well because Fulham are not like a Burnley or something. They do actually try and come at you. So, it could work in our favour. Maybe we could score. Maybe that could be the game where we score 2 or 3 like Palace as well. So. All depends on taking chances, man. You never know with this bloody team, honestly.
100%. But yeah, that's really it. And like Clutch said, big up Clutch, by the way, Dave, as your name is on Twitter, as I found out recently. Hit the like button or I will be sad. So do that right now. And it will be even sadder if you're watching this and haven't subscribed. I mean, what are you doing? Come on. We're trying to hit 10,000 subscribers here. So you need to subscribe right now. So please do that. I massively appreciate it. Become a member if you fancy doing that. Have a little fancy, members sign next to your name like Clutch do, like Melinda does, like many others do, Flyers, Jester, of course, all these guys. Make sure that I highlight your comments all the bloody time. Fake cry, Laurenz. I'm not a good actor, bro. Not a good actor. I do apologize. But road to 10K. Yeah, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Pys, as always, thank you for coming on. Check him out on Twitter down in the description below, as always. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. Upwards and onwards. Big win today for Chelsea. And yeah, up to Chelsea. And I'll see you next time.